Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody is staying safe. Please stay home. MCO isn't over yet. Thank you very much for joining this webinar today about entrepreneurship during a crisis. So let's paint a not so very pretty picture here. Yeah, let's face it. Every other business out there is not an essential service. Is probably crying buckets now. Everybody is probably having trouble getting business. Everybody is having trouble getting payments and such. If not now, probably in the next 3 to 6 months even. So in the US, to date, maybe about 30 million people have already filed for unemployment. So, but you still need some semblance of life. You still need to put food on the table. Kids still need to go to school. You still need to pay tuition, the car, the house, petrol, so on. So you could be a freshie, you could be a seasoned pro with maybe 20 years of experience. Poof, there goes your job. So what's next? So for me, I always believe that entrepreneurs are one of three modes: the rich and bored, the foolish, and the desperate. When I started my business at 23, right, I really didn't know what I was doing, so I definitely fell in the foolish category. I'm sure Dash and Stephen also can relate. Unfortunately, in times like this, I think there will be many people who will be in the desperate category. You've got no choice but to do whatever it takes to put food on the table, even if it means you have to wake up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go to Senayan Market to buy veggies and deliver to people's doorsteps to fulfill orders that you can probably accept from WhatsApp these days. Well, technology definitely has sped up the delivery of services, and who knows, what you're doing today could actually be $1 million business without you even realizing it. But how to do it? How do you do it? Here to share their experience are two very experienced, very seasoned entrepreneurs. They're very close friends of mine. Dash, the founder of Startup Malaysia, Wave. And we've got Stephen, the founder of a wireless broadband company called BizSurf. I actually worked for him 20 years ago, which was acquired by YTL and today is known as Yes. So welcome, guys.
Hi everyone, it's Stephen here.
Hi everyone, thanks Lance for having us. My name is Dash.
Yeah. So Stephen can't get his video on, so imagine that cat to be Stephen. Okay. So Stephen, since I know you first, right, I'm gonna start off with you first. Yeah. So okay. You started the wireless
and he's the older one amongst us, oldest amongst us.
Yeah, they're old friends. I call them old friends for a reason, because they're literally old. So Stephen, you started a wireless broadband when your background was actually being a property developer. So what made you take that first step away from your comfort zone?
Actually, what happened was I started the business mainly because two things. One was I was bored. Second was I was given an opportunity. What happened was when I was doing the property development company. At that time, Desa Sri Hatamas was a new shop lot development. So we decided, and I really hated the fact that our previous office before that was actually downtown. I spent a greater part of my life commuting. Imagine you leave the office at 6:30, you sit in the traffic jam on Sultan Ismail for 1.5 hours just to get home, all right? So I say, no way, next time when I have an office, I'm going to roll out of bed and be in the office in 5 minutes. That's exactly what I did. So I decided to set up our new office in Desa Sri Hatamas. And at that time, the neighborhood was just starting. In fact, the neighborhood was so dangerous that the people who set up office there had to hire security guards to guard the neighborhood so that your office don't get broken into. The other problem that happened when we moved in was that neighborhood didn't have any wireless broadband. So I say, oh crap, I need internet access, and I moved into a neighborhood where there's no StreamX or telecom StreamX those days, which is broadband access. And lo and behold, I saw a banner that says wireless broadband, call me. And I say, okay, sounds interesting. I called up, and next thing you know, my classmate. Now this is where the chance came in. It turned out to be my classmate from secondary school was providing that wireless broadband. Literally what he did was shooting that wireless signal straight to my office from the other side across the highway. And that was where the chance part came in, right? Then, as you know, in property development, you buy a piece of land, you submit to the authorities, in this case, the city hall, and all you do is wait. Sometimes that wait could be as long as 2 years, getting your development order, okay? So it was during that waiting, I got bored and I said, hey, maybe I want to do something else. That something else turned out to be the broadband internet company. Because at that time, my schoolmate says, hey, you know, we are trying to grow this network. Would you like to join us in this venture? And that's exactly how I got involved in creating a wireless broadband company. And literally, we were one of 2 companies which has cross holdings. And that's how we started. So it was both because I was bored, and second is because there was an opportunity that came out, and through a friend's invitation, I decided to go for it.
Cool. So you're an entrepreneur by chance then, you didn't really plan for it.
Yes.
So Dash, can you relate? How did you start up with Startup Malaysia? What's the story with Startup Malaysia?
Once again, thank you, Lance. I actually started my business almost 26, 27 years ago, officially, basically, as different companies. But I started very early, even while I was in school, because, you know, I came from a family where we always had sort of money now. So I had to start and survive. So one of the things I did was teach kids mathematics. And then I set up my own little tuition center, you know, converted a dilapidated Pondo, and then got kids to come and learn. And that's basically when I first got a taste of making money. And I don't know, at that time we don't call it entrepreneurship or startup or whatever. You just want to make money. And the only way I could make money was, you know, if to use what I know and sell that. Okay, this is it. You know, I knew how to convert my knowledge into how to monetize it at that time. So I said, okay, I know I can teach additional maths. I taught kids maths in the school time. And then I was wanted to become an accountant because, you know, I come from a Sri Lankan Ceylonese family. You know, in Ceylonese families, you either become a doctor, engineer, lawyer, accountant, or a failure. And then I joined to do articleship. And then I found accounting to be quite boring. So after that, I went on to do my MBA and came back and started a consulting firm. That's the first thing you do to start a consulting firm. It's 1994. From then on, I also acquired a small human resource company and started doing body shopping. They call it body shopping. That means you bring people from another country who are experts, then you put them into companies that need this kind of skills. So I was like a go-between while I was running my consulting firm. And then as I was doing that, I came across the idea that, hey, these guys will come from all these countries, India, Philippines. They all had very specific technologies and they can come to Malaysia. So why not we develop Malaysian entrepreneurs? So I started a company called Warisan Global. Actually, I just bought a shelf company, sounded nice, and then raised money. This was in 1999. I raised money. I mean, so I started in 94, so I had all these other companies. I raised money, so I raised $1 million ringgit from friends and family and fools lah. People who thought, hey, this guy, you know, sure or not, he can do this thing. So yeah, you know. Yeah, I raised $1 million ringgit.
Yes.
Then, so I started this Microsoft partnership. You know, no, sorry, I actually bought a franchise of a global Indian company called NIIT. And they had technology training, whatever it is. And then, you know, my luck would have it that the day we set it to open for business, right, is also the same day where the NASDAQ crashed, you know, the bubble, the technology bubble burst. So I had taken 1 million ringgit from people. And then it's like, you know, you are a lady, you're dressed to go out for dinner, but suddenly nobody to take you out. You know, you know, and then the whole bloody business, like, nothing to do. So I basically came to a point where, oh, this is the economic crisis. But before that, 1997 crash also I experienced. I don't want to bore your audience with that because they may have a lot of questions. So the long and short of it, this whole business model collapsed. And then I said, okay, now what am I going to do? I have to give back money I don't want to lose my credibility in the beginning of my ventures. So I worked around it, turned around the situation, and then suddenly I got this opportunity to pitch to Maxis for Bridging the Digital Divide project. So I went to pitch to Maxis. I was one of the 17 companies, I think. It's about training. What is this Bridging the Digital Divide project? It's about training kids in rural areas how to use computer lah. And here I was, a guy with an MBA who is also not a great technology guy, who said, okay, I need to do this because I need to survive. So I pitched the company as if I knew everything, but Maxis thought, oh, actually I did know everything, and they gave me the first job, the first project. It's only to train 60 people. And then we did a good job at it. I thought we did a shitty job, but the client thought it was a great job. And then they told me, can you do another one? I said, yeah, I'll do another one. And that grew to become 10,000 students.
Wow.
Few multi-million-dollar business with this thing. And then it went on to do more things. We started doing a lot of things with with that. We went into rural community development, youth development, then I went into entrepreneurship. I thought, entrepreneurship, grassroots entrepreneurship is something I should build. Now, this is an entrepreneurial trait. You see one opportunity, you develop another opportunity, and then you develop another opportunity within the scope of what you know. And then I got invited by the Kaufman Foundation in the US. Okay, I think they heard about me because of a few of my friends who studied with me, and also because I used to write a lot of blogs before. And Kaufman asked me to say, okay, why don't you become the host of the Global Entrepreneurship Week, which is what I did. And from there, I grew my entrepreneurship skills. And then I got a place to study technology entrepreneurship in Cambridge. So I went off to do that. Came back, I got invited by Obama to the presidential summit. When I went there, I saw a lot of people setting up startup Spain, startup America, startup Italy, whatever. So I said, startup Malaysia, I should start up. But what to do with startup Malaysia, I didn't have an idea. But one thing I did was, one of the things in my thesis was, in the Cambridge program thesis, was to build a kind of a petri dish on how to grow entrepreneurs. So which is what I did. And I came back and developing entrepreneurs. And so we are in the business of developing entrepreneurs. And so this is how my trajectory of entrepreneurial growth has grown. And that's how I came to Startup Malaysia. And that's where I am now, doing work in developing entrepreneurs. And during this COVID-19, the 6 weeks, I have not worked so hard. We are running a lot of online programs. Now we've just running a program for youth on developing their entrepreneurial skills. We only have place for 60 people, but we have close to 200 people who have signed up for it. It's a paid program. And we also found a sponsor. So, Entrepreneurship in the Times of Crisis is the title, and I love the topic.
Okay.
I hope that's the long and short of it. Yeah.
Very long introduction, but thanks. Stephen, so what do you think how do you think individuals are actually reacting to the downturn? Is entrepreneurship really a viable option in this climate, especially?
Well, it depends on where you are in your current state. If, for example, you are in working for a company, and let's say the company decided to free up your future, as in let you go, then you don't have an option, right? So you probably need to start looking for opportunities. Second is if you are an entrepreneur and your business is in trouble, then of course the third one would be somebody who's never worked, just got out of school, and maybe have been looking for a job but never successfully found one. So I think in all these three types of scenarios where, in fact, you can even be the fourth type of person could be where you probably worked a great deal and maybe have 4 or 5 jobs along the way, and then you decided to take some time off and retire. Then you got bored sitting at home and you wanted to go back into the game. So I think these 4 different categories, right? each one would probably look at it very differently. For those who are running a business and it's to the brink where you say, hey, it's not working out. And I think that is a very severe situation, but entrepreneurship can come in the form of maybe a joint venture with another company or finding new partners and things like that. So for those who are looking for jobs, I imagine a lot of it has to do, like I said before, chance and opportunity. Go out there, meet people, talk to people, have coffee, when the MCO is lifted, go out and have coffee with people and see what are the things that excite you. I think in a crisis like this, give yourself that runway, give yourself that time to go look for the type of things that you want to do or like to do and perhaps are good at.
Okay, a lot full of thought. I think a lot of it is about mindset. Right? It sounds like a lot of this is about mindset, which actually dovetails into the next point. Dash, mindset is very important now, right?
Yeah.
So how should one think when they actually want to start something, especially now? I mean, it's an employer's market, jobs are very scarce, right? So what's an entrepreneurial mindset? Why is it so elusive?
Thanks for asking that question. I think firstly is when you ask the question to Stephen, I'd also like to chime in on that.
Sure.
I think entrepreneurship is not just for a period of crisis, but it's also something that you got to develop. My philosophy is what I think to being entrepreneurial is your birthright. Human beings are always entrepreneurial. That's how they explore all the other continents. Being entrepreneurial does not mean you need to start a company. Even in a company, you can be entrepreneurial, having that skill set. And to answer this mindset question, actually, the mindset is what I would call as self-efficacy, that you can do it. How do you convert an idea into a venture? And before you convert an idea into a venture, you need to know what are the problems you're trying to solve, okay? And becoming a problem solver, that's very, very important. The entrepreneurial mindset is a mindset that has, like Bill Ollett of MIT says, you really have to have both the mindset of a pirate and a mindset of a Navy SEAL. That means you really need to go out there and look for things. And in entrepreneurship, it always starts with who you are, what you know, and who you know. That's basically how entrepreneurial mindset starts. But what actually happens now is that a lot of people say, okay, I have this idea and I want to go and launch a company. And I think that's a disaster to do, because if you do that, you're likely to fail. Any startup has got a high probability of failure. Vinod Khosla, who's one of the top venture capitalists, actually said that if you have 10 things as an entrepreneur that will make your entrepreneurial venture successful, you only control 4 of them. 3 of them are controlled by your competitors, and another 3 by pure chance of whether you are lucky, you're in the right place at the right time or not. And this is not what I'm saying. This is what Vinod Khosla, the billionaire, is saying. So what is the mindset? The mindset is what Clayton Christensen of Harvard Business School calls it the innovator's DNA, which basically means that you are able to listen, speak, observe, network, and also find what you care for the most, problems that you care for the most that you want to solve. And I would recommend people to actually launch a project, play with the project, take the project forward, make it, keep it small, fail fast, learn quickly from it, and then move to build it into a venture. So don't start off with, I want to start a company, I want to launch straight away. I can give an example if I have time. Lan?
Go ahead, go crazy.
So there is an example of a case study. It's called curry in a hurry. It's not because I'm an Indian, I'm saying I'm going to give you an example of curry in a hurry. So this lady wanted to start a food business, okay? And you want to start a food business, what do you think you want to do? You straight away want to start a restaurant, You want to buy chair, raise money, put together, go and find a location, pay $15,000 in Bangsa rental, and then you want to start a restaurant. And this is the usual model. But the thing is, what is recommended in entrepreneurial? So what I'm telling you is not the Frank Sinatra school of entrepreneurship. You know what is the Frank Sinatra school of entrepreneurship? Is I did it my way school. A lot of people go and say, okay, I did it my way, but this is purely theoretically been tested by expert entrepreneurs globally. Entrepreneurs start small. They think big but start small. It's like if entrepreneurship is IPO is to getting to Mount Everest, you want to get to base camp. So this person says, okay, I start something called curry in a hurry. I cook in my house. I call my neighbors. I say, come eat my food. Oh, lovely food. I then sell the food to them. And then I say, I will do a talk show. And then I go to their house. I say, call 10 people, ask them to all pay 100 ringgit each. I do a cooking class for 10 people. Slowly, you move your business. You do the doable and you push it, as they say. And this is what entrepreneurship is about, starting with a petri dish. So you go back to the definition of what a startup is. A startup is actually defined in Silicon Valley as a temporary organization in search of a scalable and repeatable business model. So the keywords are a temporary organization in search of. So which means you start small and then it's temporary, it can die, So in times of crisis, you may have a job or you may not have a job. If you have a job, it's time to start a side hustle. In times of you don't have a job, start something small. Don't say, oh, I need to put together the most Changi PowerPoint deck and go and raise R1 million. Nobody will give you. Venture capitalists are now debating between to look smart or to look stupid. And I think most of them don't want to look stupid. Okay, so you need to raise small money, start with a simple, small project. I'm happy to dive deep into this area, but I'll let the questions roll.
Sounds like what that Wyatt guy would create 1,000 fans of what you do for something that you do, what you do well.
Yeah. Okay. So that is a really interesting concept. Yeah. That is called the power of 1,000 true fans. And this is another concept that I'm trying to build with my clients, is to build a one-person, $1 million company. Once this crisis is over, you're not going to get countries. The world is going to be different in some ways. In many ways, it's going to be the same. If you look at what happened, Lime, this company that rents motorcycle, valued at $1 billion, is now not doing anything. But a company called DoorDash, which is selling vegetables, delivering vegetables, it's growing rapidly. So like this article says, 1/3 of all the unicorns are going to die. 1/3 of unicorns are going to disappoint. 1/3 are going to do really well. This is what the new economy, the COVID economy, is going to look like. So talking about the 1,000 true fans, all the big companies that are doing well are going to do well. But you want to start a startup, I think you're going to follow the long tail. The long tail is you have to start something small, is the niche, and you will find 1,000 of your customers. And it could be global customers who pay you 100 ringgit a month or 1,000 ringgit a month or whatever. And then you slowly build traction and you build a one-person, $1 million company like that. Like you don't straight away get 1 million, but you build over a period of time. Yeah.
Stephen, it sounds like something like you created in your broadband company where you sign up subscribers.
Yeah, well, basically it was to solve a need in the neighborhood, right? So, and we just went from one building at a time. So basically we realized that there are different parts of the Klang Valley that didn't have the broadband and they desperately needed it. And also it has to do with timing. Like when we were starting up the wireless broadband company, StreamX by Telekom Malaysia wasn't very prevalent. In fact, today, I call it a window of opportunity. Sometimes that window of opportunity is just there and you happen to be in that frame during that time. Give you another example. I invested in a broadband company in Cambodia. And this was very funny because both my business partner, when our company was acquired, we just took some time off, and then during that time off, we decided to visit our other partner who happened to be in Cambodia. And you know, the funny thing is that he went there, my partner, my schoolmate, who was my co-founder in BizServe, he went there twice to Phnom Penh, and it didn't resonate with him. And I went after his 2 trips there, and immediately I saw the opportunity there. And guess what? What I did was I ended up being a partner to my friend there, who where we built a fiber network broadband company there. So sometimes it's actually has in your wondering or in your kind of like the lull in between, right? You tend to find things that resonate with you. So sometimes it's an opportunity. Sometimes it's a friend who say, hey, can you help me with this? Other times it could be just a venture that you happen to stumble onto within that time frame. And I think that's what most entrepreneurs end up. It's not a pre-designed thing where you say, okay, I'm going to be such and such entrepreneur, and you jump into it, right? Most often than not, it is an opportunity. It may be a chance meeting, or even it's an opportunity that just nobody took advantage of.
Sounds like everybody still needs to meet each other to sniff out with any potential opportunities also. But now that we're not supposed to meet face to face, we have to do it through Zoom or through Teams. How is that changing the way people are going to network, and how is that going to change the way people actually do business? Any one of you?
Well, for the past 4 weeks, I've been doing one thing that's a bit part of my kind of like every morning routine. Is basically I went in and cleaned up my LinkedIn profile, and I started, you know, in LinkedIn, you actually are able to reach out to a lot of people, all right? And you don't even need to probably sign up with the paid version, which costs like a couple $100 US, ringgit per month. But the free version allows you to see what's out there. There's a tab that when you click on it, it's on jobs. Do that, and you will find that some of the jobs looks interesting to you, right? Or some of them are interesting ideas. When people post a lot, I call LinkedIn the Facebook of the business world. People can check each other out, and some people post a lot. I know, Lance, you put a lot of entrepreneurial stories on your LinkedIn, right?
Yep,
so
yep.
A lot of people do that. So when you use that, instead of spending a lot of your time on Facebook and checking out what your friends are cooking for lunch and dinner, go on LinkedIn, you know, and find out what really resonates with you. And through some of these, what I call clicking and wondering, right, within LinkedIn, you'll be able to find out what you really like and what really you feel that you have some inkling or some skills in.
Actually, you're right. Just a week ago, I was actually connected by someone from HubSpot. HubSpot, if you guys don't know about what HubSpot is actually a CRM company from the US. They are actually a listed company, and they are fairly big. I think they do about 60 or 70 million a year or something like that. So they're fairly big. And they just reached out to us and to see whether or not we are willing to be a partner with them in Southeast Asia. So yes, you're right. LinkedIn can be a very good platform where we can actually connect and also create partnerships across borders. Dash, how can someone start a side hustle now if they are still being employed?
So it looks like you don't want me to answer the earlier question about how the world will change.
I'm gonna I let Stephen answer. Now this one you answer this question. Because this is along your lines. How do you start a side hustle while being employed?
While being employed, is it?
Yeah, either while being employed, or maybe you just lost a job, or you want to start a side hustle because, well, one income is usually not enough these days.
You know, I don't know who the audience are, but the future is, you know, must have learned a lot about product market fit. Everybody learns about, when you learn about entrepreneurship, find a product and there is a product market fit. But in doing a side hustle or in the future of entrepreneurship, It's about finding the founder product market fit. There is to be an alignment between the founder, what the founder really cares about. And you need to find, this is why Google even has a project or has a program called Search Within Yourself. And this program, it's 8 weeks or 8 months in advance. They basically, you can't get in. In Search Within Yourself is all about seeking out who you are and what you are passionate about. And a side hustle is about converting passion to profits. And if you are working as an accountant for a company and now your boss is telling you, hey, hello, maybe you need to work 3 days a week or 2 days a week. And you say, I really don't want to be an accountant again, my side hustle. You can, but conflicts of interest and all that kind of stuff. You could actually find out you may be passionate about something else. You may be passionate about dog walking, maybe. I don't know. I'm just joking. And you could actually turn that into a small project and convert it into a side hustle, which is not interfering with what you're doing. And that could slowly take you into building a business out of it. And it may not immediately pay at that much, but it could be quite lucrative. Like I have this lady who comes to me. I think she comes every month to brush my dogs or whatever. And she tells me that, it started off as a passion and now she makes a sizable income every month, converting passion to profits. So a side hustle is a project that you do like a side burner, like a petri dish in your science lab during your office time, during non-office time. And you are working on those kind of things. And entrepreneurs are created in those kind of situations as well. And you need to be prepared that this COVID crisis or pandemic has actually moved the world from 2020 to 2025. We have accelerated to 2025 rapidly because a lot of people have gone online. There's a surge in people using online platforms. People said, I don't need to use this before. I'm now using those things before. And I think if you can embrace, if you look around you, which are the companies that have survived this crisis, you will see a lot of them have been trying to sell online, trying to use the internet. And I think this is best time to use. And the next thing to embrace is this crisis is just a preamble to much more uncertainties to come in the future. Embrace uncertainty. There's not going to be a smooth sailing. You need to have a mindset of a surfer. That means when you're surfing, you will fall, you have to climb up, you have to keep on learning. And that's the mindset you need to embrace to move forward.
Actually, you're right. Yeah. Prior to this, also for my company, Villain Asia, right? We also used to do everything very traditionally. We had sales teams actually going to the ground to actually see customers close deals. We had to do physical events where we invited guests to speak on stage with a crowd where we actually had to beg people to actually attend. Now, because of MCO, we have no choice but to pivot to be fully online. So we close our sales online, we do online meetings now instead of meeting them face to face. So to be very frank, I'm actually quite happy to be stuck at home doing this MCO because we are still getting things done. We're still getting a lot of work done. And actually, your point about the side hustle being ideally something that is of a personal passion. Actually, I also can relate to that because maybe about 10 years ago, because I have a passion for cooking, I like the kitchen a lot. It's very therapeutic for me. So I actually started a side hustle when I was still an entrepreneur as well, doing barbecue stuff. So I used to supply barbecue meats. I used to supply barbecue equipment to people who actually wanted to buy them. And it actually did quite well. The only reason why I stopped it is because it was very manual. It was very labor intensive. So it was starting to eat into my time, into my day job. But actually, I did have quite a lot of fun doing it.
Actually, talking about side hustles, right? Recently I actually purposely went to SSM, right? This was before the MCO. I realized that for less than 100 ringgit, you can create a sole proprietorship, right? And in less than 5 minutes, you have a company, a sole proprietorship company, right? To me, a side hustle doesn't become a real hustle unless you have a business card printed and or start to tell people about it. So basically do that has a kind of like a psychological thing where you say, okay, this little hobby of mine, I think it can go to the next step. Go create a little sole proprietorship, and for 30 ringgit you can set one up, and next thing you know, printing a business card, a whole box of it will probably cost like 60 ringgit. Now then it becomes real, right? I always say that it doesn't become real until you start seeing yourself in print. That's one, right? Second is, I guess for a side hustle to really happen, is to really dive deep into it and start doing it. Just like Nike, just do it, right? Case in point is during the COVID, well, just before the COVID lockdown, right? This was based on suggestion from Lance. I went out and got myself certified for HRDF. Now, why would I go out and get myself certified as a trainer for HRDF, right? I say, hey, it's worth an investment. So think of training or think of learning as your investment in yourself or in your future self. When you do decide to take that leap to become an entrepreneur, I think now is a great time to do that, with so much online resources. Some are even free. I think it's a great time to do it.
Yeah, I think to add on to what Stephen has said, it's cheap, very cheap to become an entrepreneur these days. And like also is like saying, okay, this is something I can do it. And just go out and do it. You don't have to really make it big. It's like a scientist having a lot of petri dishes, and some things will take on. You're not experimenting with too many things, but you're experimenting with what is passionate, what you are passionate about. And I've seen over the last 6 weeks, a lot of them, a lot of people are doing so many things. In fact, I must tell you this, my son actually, who's in Melbourne, University of Melbourne, he used to teach, he used to tutor online kids on mathematics. And suddenly he tells me that the number of students wanting to learn online has just gone up. And this is his passion. He likes to do this online as part and parcel of his studies, And I think a lot of things can happen like this. I also talk to so many entrepreneurs. A lot of them just want to talk. And like entrepreneurial anonymous, like that. And that could become a paid model later. I don't think you need to worry about making money immediately. I think start getting traction and start finding this is really a problem that you're solving, and then slowly you can charge.
Interesting. Okay, I think we're almost time. I got a few more questions for you. So I'm just going to do a simple question to Stephen first. Okay.
Okay.
So if there's one thing that you could do differently in any one of your companies, what would it be?
I think it's probably to do when the business is running well, right? Is to ask the what if question. What if cash runs out? What if you lost 80% of your customers overnight? Ask the what if question. What if my CTO or what if my partner dies on you, right? Is to ask the kind of questions when the business is doing well. For those who are working for others in a company, is to ask things like, what if tomorrow I don't have this job? So when you ask the what if question, it's kind of like doing a sanity check on yourself, right? And your position or your job or even your company. So when you constantly do that, or when you do that at the peak or when you're doing well, you begin to realize that you are able to prepare for it. So in the sense, those who fare well in this lockdown period are those who probably have in their time asked that kind of question.
Dash, what about you?
I think I would have wanted to, if I'd known what I know today 20 years ago, I would have probably build a different kind of a model in the company, and quickly went on building a slightly more scalable model. I think that's something that I would have done. Definitely, I'm very prudent, so I always keep cash for 6 months, 1 year ahead. So in that sense, you know, but yeah, to build something more scalable, I would have done that. Yeah.
Cool. So what are you guys working on now? Dash first. Dash first.
Yeah, so I have just changed. So now I've looked at the landscape that I think that what is really sorely needed is getting people to build this entrepreneurial mindset. And there's a lot of things going out there, you know. Oh, you got to have a winning idea and straight away convert to money and straight away raise money, kind of a school of thinking. But I want to take this mindset to schools, take this mindset to universities to really build a group of solid entrepreneurial people. I'm also having another company called Momentum. I haven't filled the website yet. Momentum is about helping young people to search within themselves and building those kind of resilience within themselves. You know, a self-discovery program. I think this is something is going to be in the future, because the more entrepreneurs building, the more empty they become, and then the more they feel that, you know, there's a lot of emptiness in people. I want to build something that's meaningful in that kind of a situation, and it makes me happy to do that now. Yeah.
Stephen?
For me, I have a few pots burning. One is actually, since I got myself certified as a trainer, I've been doing some business coaching for companies mainly for strategic consulting and also for business coaching. My passion is still in blockchain and crypto, so I'm doing some blockchain crypto bot trading. Then the third one, which is very unusual, which is actually I've been realized there are a lot of very interesting international organizations looking for talent in Asia. All right. So through my wanderings in LinkedIn, for the heck of it, I decided why not try some international organizations. I got my resume out to people like Greenpeace, World Bank, and a few other organizations, because I know that they are trying to grow Asia Pacific and they need people in different areas. So this is something new, so it will be quite interesting. You never know, right?
Stephen, the entrepreneur looking for a job. Interesting. So okay, there's some questions from the floor, so I'm going to ask it out so that and any one of you can just answer. Yeah. One of them was, how do you know when you had the right idea?
Can I answer that?
Go ahead.
I don't think you will know whether you have a right idea, but you will know that this idea is not leaving you, because it will be nagging at you. If this idea is something that you're passionate about, it won't let go of you. It will come back to you in the night, come back to you during the day. Then you kick the idea away, it'll come back to you. And then it's an idea worth working at. And you will still not know it's a good idea unless you again start it small, like a petri dish. You test it out with people, take it out and go until you see, oh, this really works. That's when you know that this is a real idea. Get to base camp.
For me, I think an entrepreneurial idea is 10% idea, 90% effort. You just have to work at it. And once you get past working at it, you will know it becomes clearer and clearer whether that idea will work or not work, and be ready to pivot and change. If you find that that idea could, maybe if you tweak it a little bit, it may work better. So it's all about 90% effort.
Yeah, actually, I agree. Just do it first. If it flunks out, do something else.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, okay, next question. How do you market your business and what tactics have been most successful? Maybe Stephen, take this.
I find that depends on what area your business idea is. But surprisingly, I find that a lot of people are using this period, especially during the crisis, using the social media, using whatever social media tools are out there to tell people about what they do. In fact, I know of Great Eastern has a insurance product, right? And they've done phenomenal sales during this period just because they decided to bite the bullet and launch it, right, during this pandemic period. And at the same time, what they did was they tweaked their business model. You know how normally you need people to sign off on the insurance contract? They decided to implement a non-face-to-face way of signing, and their agency network embraced it 100%. Now, if the pandemic didn't happen, I don't think the company would have had the bonus to try that non-face-to-face contract settlement or digital signature. So sometimes it happens that way during a period of real testing time. You begin to realize that your idea can be tweaked and it worked, But a lot of people are using social media tremendously in a very creative ways. So now it's just everything from LinkedIn to Facebook to Instagram to IGTV, you name it, people are doing it.
Yeah, actually, I agree. I mean, for us also, we also started embracing going online fully right now. All of our stuff are done online as well. So I guess it depends on what are the services you're providing and whether or not it can be actually done online or not. Case in point, right? If you all noticed, everybody's Facebook is filled with everybody's cooking, right? Everybody suddenly becomes a chef now, right? So there's actually a company that actually came up with a cooking contest. For example, let's say they use a specific brand that maybe that brand can sponsor as prize money, or even products. Say you, for example, Maggie, you started cooking stuff on Maggie. You take a picture of it, you submit it as a contest. That company that organized the contest can arrange for promotional items. They can arrange for advertisement funds from the product that they're trying to promote, and they can make a business out of something that people are doing for fun right now. So people are doing a lot of people are getting more and more creative about making money, and this could be one avenue as well. So I thought that was very interesting. Okay, Dash, do you believe there is some sort of pattern or formula to become a successful entrepreneur?
No, I think there is a I think there is a method. There are rigors that you need to learn. It's like asking, how do you become a successful Olympian or whatever it is, and you need to have the basic discipline to understand all these things. And like I said earlier, it's only 4 parts. If there's 10 parts to make you that kind of a unicorn, then 4 is controlled by you, 3 is by your competitors. Another 3, no one really knows. Then again, if you look at unicorns are basically can only become unicorns because there are other things that exist in the ecosystem. Like the internet exists. I mean, there's a problem like Uber can become a unicorn because there was the internet, there was these taxis were monopolizing, there were people getting frustrated with it, and then the app, there was a smartphone available. So how do you weave all this together? and then push it. You know what I mean? So those kind of things that you need to really do, but it may not even work sometimes. Yeah.
For me, I believe there's one trait that is very important when it comes to entrepreneurship. I believe that trait is resilience. You need to know how to tahan pain, because it took me a good maybe 12 years to reach a point where I realized that, okay, I think I've reached a point where I need to hire people to manage certain things for me. But I had to wait 12 years before I got to that point. So I think resilience, especially in this period, is a very important trait right now to weather the storm and to make sure you're still alive when the storm is over. So yeah, I think that's one of the more important traits that I think
I agree. I think resilience is important, but it comes from an offshoot of that you are an entrepreneur. You can't become unentrepreneurial now. You already learned to be entrepreneurial, meaning you are turning opportunities into products, into products and selling them, and that's part of something that you can't undo anymore. That's the trait already. It's built in.
From my personal experience, well, it also helps that when you don't go at it alone. Chances are entrepreneurs with some partners, they become your kind of like your mirror, number one. Number two is that you may not have all the skills, but maybe the 2 or 3 partners that you have in your business is able to weather that. And I think having partners, even in all my businesses, I would not have been so able to succeed if it weren't for my partners that are there. So I think that's where it increases your chances of being a successful one. So to me, that's very important also.
Yeah, I think life partner is also very important. Somebody who can tahan your craziness. Okay, Stephen, being an experienced entrepreneur, you have went through ups and downs in business. Among all the failures you have encountered, what's the biggest learning from that experience?
I guess the biggest learning from that is even if you are in a good place, don't expect it to go on forever. There are times where, in my previous companies, where at the peak, we were doing really well, and in less than 2-3 months, all hell broke loose. So I think the key word is anticipation, and also able to be agile, able to shift quickly and reroute if need to. So I think that's where that resiliency as an entrepreneur comes in. Imagine, in one of my businesses, in Christmas time, we just made an announcement we were going to be acquired, and come Chinese New Year time, I realized I made the biggest mistake of my life. So you can imagine that kind of ups and downs, right? So an entrepreneur, if nothing else, have to be resilient. An entrepreneur, to me, also needs to be extremely healthy. Nothing happens if you're not healthy. So if you don't keep a healthy lifestyle, eat well, sleep well, you're gonna run into problems, because when the tough gets going, you can't even get up, right? And you're sick in bed. So that's tough, right?
This is something that I learned from Dash also. Dash is on this thing called intermittent fasting. Okay, there is one more question. Okay, what about experienced working professionals who want to venture out of corporate life to become an entrepreneur? How do they get help? I think Dash can answer this.
Yeah, this is something I'm doing with a few of corporate people who are who want to leave, right? And also not immediately throw away their jobs, because they need to keep their jobs to pay the bills, but doing the side hustle. This is what I'm helping them to build this one person, $1 million company. I mean, I've just termed it that way. I am actually running an ideas accelerator for this kind of people. We start with very simple design thinking and then taking it from them. You can get them to call me if there's a group of 5 to 6 people that I would I would run the program. There is no, everybody is focusing on the young who are coming out of university who assume that the word pivot is understood by everybody else. So this is what is entrepreneurship. What kind of ventures are there? How do you take your idea forward? What does it mean to solve a problem? These are things that we are just not, going to the fundamentals and helping these people to do it. So yeah, I think that help is not there, but I'm starting this midlife accelerator program.
So it's like a school for the midlife crisis people.
School for the midlife crisis people, yes.
Well, the other area is actually if you are, I always encourage the young people to think about entrepreneurship because when you don't have 2 mortgages, 2 cars, and a dog and a family of 4 to feed, it's a lot easier, right? So I always said to the young people, be an entrepreneur now, because worst case scenario, 5 years from now, if your business fails, you can always go back to stay with mom, and mom will still do your laundry and cook for you. So for the midlife crisis people, it's a lot more real because they have to really think it through before they take that leap, especially when you are in a reasonably good paying job, but you may not really like it, but you want to become an entrepreneur. That's the midlife kind of jump. That jump needs to be calculated a little bit more.
Yeah, that's very well said, because I think that jump is where the true fundamentals of what entrepreneurship requires comes in. So you start small. This is the curry in a hurry model. Don't throw away your income, but you need to start small. At the same time, if you're being kicked out of a job, you have your savings or your EPF or whatever. Don't straight away go and invest in a big restaurant because those things are gone. So do small things first. Yeah.
But also, the good news is, for statistically speaking, the good news is that for people who are a bit more experienced, when you actually want to start a venture after maybe 15, 20 years of corporate life, right, your chances of success is probably going to be a lot higher than somebody who's fresh out of university, because you've gone through the experience of, some experience of life. You know what's real.
Yeah. So this is something very interesting, when I ran the Founder Institute in Perth, the entrepreneurs who came to do the startup are people who above their 40 and above, not all of them, but a large number of them. And I found the quality of them coming in, because they are putting the skin in the game, their own money in the game. They want to make sure that they understand what they're doing. They're not putting together a PowerPoint deck to impress a bunch of funders. Actually, they put a PowerPoint deck, and in the PowerPoint deck, they answer the question, why would someone won't fund me? And then they find the loopholes in that, So I found this is a very, very strong age group who actually can become really resilient entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and also because let's say you have been working for maybe 5 to 8 years in a company or in the industry, chances are you have a pretty good network of and how the industry works. Unless you jump into a totally unrelated, even if you do, your network that you have built up in the 5 or 10 years will probably help you run a lot more, and probably this network will probably support you too.
Yeah, and you also know how to get access to people anyway.
Yeah. Hey, there's a question here in one of the participants. They ask, how has travel operator, how can we do our business when all the airports, embassies are closed during the MCO, blah, 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 and how are we going to adapt to this change? I guess to answer that is, some of the people have been doing this, I noticed, where those people who are involved in the tourism industry and all are doing forward selling, meaning they say, okay, well, classic case in point is actually Asia selling that 1 year ticket, right? So if you're a tour operator, I'm sure people will come out and travel, but what you need to do now will be perhaps to forward sell some of your ideas or packages or whatever, or your services, right? So I think that would help, because forward sell meaning Sell something that you know people, let's say next year or end of this year, will want to buy, right? And have them maybe commit some amount. The cruise industry is in total chaos, right? But what they're doing is selling cruises for 2021 with a one-to-one free ticket. So that's one way of doing it.
You sound like you bought one.
Tourism business, I think that would be the wise thing to do.
You sound like you
will buy a one-to-one if it's travel to Japan or whatever, right?
Yeah, if I may add to that, I mean, I actually was I watched one of these sessions a few days ago. A lot of tour operators are saying the same thing. Planes are not taking off. Borders are closed. We don't even know when the borders are going to be open in which country. The government says you can go and open office. We go and open office to sell what? You know what I mean? What do we sell? We are God. We don't have cash flow. We don't have what have you. So one of the participants said something very interesting. He says, do a lot of inbound travel, which you can do within Malaysia. Because if you go and look at the persona of people who want to travel, they just want to go. And of course, they want to go to Italy and drink the wine, or go anywhere else, go to a pilgrimage or something, which you can't do. But you can do something small by getting them to get out of the house, go and meet more people. You can organize, build models of social distancing traveling within the country, and then see how this model can scale later. I think it's time that you start experimenting with what you can do right now, and then take it from there. I think that was one of the things that came out of these discussions. You can't put a busload of people, but you can put maybe 20 people, sitting further away from each other to go to a local destination. I don't know whether that makes sense to the questioner.
Actually, it makes sense to pivot in a sense. When I was traveling in Pakistan, when I was in Karachi is actually a very big city. I think about 20 million population, and
very crowded.
The city is so huge that there are parts of the city where people have never set foot in before. Yeah. And there is actually a startup in Karachi that actually takes people from certain parts of Karachi itself to another part of Karachi to visit. Because there are so many new things that they've not seen before in their lifetime, even though they stay in the same city. And I'm very sure a lot of us have not seen everything there is to be seen in KL. A lot of us. I'm very sure that Dash, you've not been to the UK, the waterfalls in UK, which UK is KAY, the one in Taman Melawati. I'm very sure you've not been there before. And it's beautiful. And there's a lot of places, a lot of tourist destinations within KL itself for KLites who have not been there before. So yes, that could be one area you can pivot to.
Yeah.
I hope that answered your question as well. So, okay, just going to be one last question here. It's going to be a pretty generic one. So what do you say are the top 3 skills needed to be a successful entrepreneur?
Stephen, go for it. You have more white hair than me.
I would say, first and foremost, is be resilient and keep your mind active and be curious, be very curious. And the second is look at details. That means it could be operational details, it could be details about your people, it could be the details about your industry. It's the details that actually gets an entrepreneur into trouble sometimes, right? And last and always, as always, is the other skill, the other most important thing is to keep healthy. You need a healthy mindset. You need to be physically healthy to be able to take the slings and arrows of running a business as an entrepreneur,
Can I? Yeah. Okay. I will answer this question in a bit of a roundabout way. Now, what are the top skills that is needed to become a successful entrepreneur? I won't go back. I won't give you what Stephen has given. I think he's given some really good points. And I also won't give the Frank Sinatra School of Entrepreneurship. Okay. Now, this is a question actually asked by the Vice Chancellor or the President of Tsinghua University to a professor at MIT. And you see, the Tsinghua University is the MIT in China. And he wanted to know one thing. and he said, let's meet in Lego office in Copenhagen. So both the professors or both these academics or people met in Lego office. And the Tsinghua University professor said, look, I have all the technology and knowledge to create A students. I know how to get my students to get all A's and top and get to Harvard. So we can control all your top universities because from our university, we can do all these things. But one thing we don't have what we call the X students, meaning the students who are innovative, who have the DNA of building the innovation in them. And how do I do that? And what are the skills to do that? And the answer is that what I started off earlier, if you take the curve of a startup curve, the early phase is where they talk about the 5 skills. The first skill is the observation skills, whether you can really see where the opportunities are. The second is questioning the status quo. Why should it be like this? And Stephen touched on it, what if, just now. The third question is experimenting skills, whether you can experiment or not. And the fourth is basically the, what you call it as the networking skills, whether you can talk to more people who do not agree with you. And then all this gives rise to one skill called the associational skill, which basically means you can connect different ideas to different things together. And if we go back 300, 500, 600 years ago, this is what actually built our civilization. After the farming revolution, the next revolution was the scientific revolution, which basically asked questions, asked this. This is how the scientists democratized science. How did we learn science in school? We didn't have to become scientists. We learned the skills that they had already defined. And so this is how they are democratizing innovation. They're saying that it's not just a chance. These are things that you build in your children, build in yourself, build in your school. So entrepreneurs today read widely, network widely, listen to a lot of different views widely, observe a lot, take what is really working, test it, experiment it, and always have put very spot on by Stephen, a curious mind.
For me, I won't call it skills, but I'll call it values for myself. So I encapsulate this whole thing in my company's core values actually. So for us, we believe in trust, T. So if you cannot build trust, nobody's going to trust you with their money, right? So if somebody doesn't trust you, they're not going to part with their money to you. You must have empathy. You must have empathy as well. You need to understand what the other party is going through. Show me that you know me. If you don't know me, how am I going to give you my money? The next thing is authenticity. You must always be authentic in what you do. If you're not authentic, people can see right through you. I'm not going to give you my money. And lastly is move forward. Always be forward thinking and always try to make do with what you have, not with what you think you could have. That's for me. All right, guys. Final words. Dash.
Go create your ruckus. This is the best time. Don't waste. A crisis is a terrible thing to waste.
Stephen, last words.
Well, since this topic is called entrepreneurship during period of crisis, I hate to say to end it with a down, but even if things don't work out, right? Even if your business blows up because of this whole crazy virus thing, or if you lost a job or whatever, like I said, think of it as it freeing up your future, right? It could lead to more and better things. Use this period if you happen to, has a period of rest, has a period of thinking about what you like, what you want to do, what you want to be on the upside, right? Moving forward. I think use this period for that. If your business is, not going to make it. But having said that, I think now is a great time for everyone to take a pause, rest up, and prepare for what's coming next.
Great. How do we get in touch with you guys?
Find me on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I think you can find me on LinkedIn under Dakshinamurthy.
And Stephen, you're on Stephen Chia at LinkedIn as well, right? I presume.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Very good. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you for hosting us, Lance, and great having you as a co-panelist, Stephen.
It was fun.
Same here. Thank you so much. See you guys.
And thanks to Norman and all the Lance team, and thanks for all your questions to the people who are asking questions. Awesome, guys. Cheers.
Okay, Norman, over to you.
Yes.
Norman, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, guys. So for all those who've attended and still around, you can scan this QR code and give us your feedback so that we can actually improve on our webinars. If there's any inquiries, you can email us at sales@vilan.asia, or you can WhatsApp us at +6012 266 0189. All the details are on the screen. Thank you very much, everybody. Stay safe, and we'll catch you on our next webinar next week. Cheers, guys.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks. Bye.